Hey, everybody, and welcome to our podcast show. On our podcast show this week, we'll be talking about the future of AI, better known as artificial intelligence, how it progressed over the years, and how it could be used to help tackle the world's problems. You may not be aware, but AI is found in many places, from consumer applications such as Amazon and Google to medical and military applications. AI is growing fast, but can we keep up? We'll be looking at the recently launched and controversial ChatGPT, a highly advanced chatbot developed by OpenAI, a research and development company co-founded by Elon Musk. Yes, but he left the company in 2018 due to some worrying concerns. We had a trend in VR over the past few years, and now it seems it's all about AI this year. So let's get right into it. Stephen, what's your thoughts on AI, and when was the first time you had experience with AI?
I think AI is already all around us. I think even though our front end is machine learning, which there's a very specific distinction between the two. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, when Netflix sends you suggestions, that's actually not AI. That's actually machine learning. That's learning your patterns. It's basically an A/B test between the two things. It's not someone having a conversation with you. ChatGPT is actually where that conversation starts. That's actually AI because it's actually learning how to connect with a human and have a conversation and listen to you and give you back a meaningful response. It's why CNET, we haven't talked about this, but it's been in the news. But CNET actually took they created a number of articles using ChatGPT and populated their website with this information. The problem with ChatGPT is that when it's wrong, it doubles down on being wrong. It doesn't know it's wrong. So it's like Facebook and all of the people that do their research. They're very sure that they're right, but in reality, they're really wrong. So the danger in ChatGPT being connected, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, with Bing and other platforms, is that when people search now, they're going to search for potentially wrong answers, and then they're going to use their research to double down on a position that is inherently incorrect from a source that is inherently fallible because it believes the information is correct.
Well, the information is produced by humans, right? It's human error in that, so
that human error is going to be magnified. The other thing too about ChatGPT is that it's only as good as the data sets that it's trained on. So right now, the data sets are not live. They're actually from 2022. So anything it knows is a year behind. It's not real time. Once they get that real time component in, I'm sure that it will improve. But for right now, for anyone that is used to doing their research and doubling down on the first search result, that very first search result might actually be very, very wrong because the AI also believes that it's right. And because of that, and this is the distinction between machine learning and AI, is that machine learning goes through data sets and learns from A/B testing. AI acts more like us as humans, and we use multiple sources to inform our view. It's just like someone who thinks that a bunch of certain leaning websites have the right point of view, therefore their point of view is that view.
Yeah. Could
very
be
dangerous.
Single-minded, right?
Single-minded, exactly. Single-minded.
So when was the earliest experience you had with AI? Was it to do with computers back then, or during college, or what was the first concept that you caught? Oh, AI, what's going on there?
It's really not. See, we've been subjected to machine learning. The AI component, AI and machine learning, and also the other component of it, I can't remember what it's called exactly. There isn't a name, it's on the tip of my tongue. But those are subsets of AI. AI takes that information and learns from it and uses it as, like, for example, if you get really good at basketball, you are machine learning that skill, but you're using decisions
like humans,
for that. Yeah,
right?
like
humans learning certain skills.
Yes.
Right?
So that's more machine learning. But when you get out on the game and you're trying to make a decision of whether to pass to, like you're having those feelings, that's the human part, right?
Oh, and that's the emotion that comes in.
That's the emotion that comes in, right?
Yeah.
So AI can be like an adolescent. Like it can actually, it evolves like a human being with very little experience. It can go from being a toddler, which is terrible.
Yeah, and humans can withhold emotions,
Yeah.
right? You can train someone to say, "Oh, okay, you don't want to get too, quick or whatever during a game, and shoot a basketball when it's too early, and
Humans
it might lose
also,
the game,
yeah,
and
and
so on." So,
that's true.
hmm.
And also humans tend to exaggerate and lie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
human instincts, right?
Human instincts, right? So if we truly want an AI to be more human, then we actually let the machine inherit our flaws
Yeah,
over
that's one of
time.
the things that's you can't pick and choose, right? I
No.
mean, it's one of those things that you go the pros and the cons, and you have to kind of
Yeah.
learn with it and deal
Well,
with it.
AI. So again, AI affects us kind of in a. We see its subsets, but behind the scenes, those subsets are part of AI training. Now,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
ChatGPT is probably what most people are experiencing for the first time as AI. The other part of it too is that AI has always been running in the background of Google, even Bing,
yeah,
and probably not Bing so much, but Google is using AI in the background to sort and give results and everything like that, and also using machine learning to figure out what data sets work the best, right? So I mean, what you see on YouTube, what you see on Netflix as suggestions for you, that's more machine learning overall,
right,
right?
yeah,
But there is a
right.
component of AI behind the scenes that we may not be aware of that is trying to inform those decisions more like a human being.
Mm.
So
All right. Well, we'll talk more about
yeah.
that later. So let's talk about AI in pop culture. So
Mhm.
I remember back in the 80s, there was a science fiction movie called War Games. You probably, for the youngsters, probably don't know, but it's starring Matthew Broderick, right? In which he found a backdoor into an AI military computer. And this computer gets confused with reality and gameplay. And this confusion really started World War III. And don't forget, there's also Terminator 1 and 2 with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the film AI by Steven Spielberg, and of course, Matrix trilogy. I mean, 80s and 90s interpretation of AI was truly fascinating. So, what was your first films in about AI and all that kind of stuff you
I
watched?
I think AI. I think War Games was more of a problem with. It's more machine learning. It's like it figured out a bunch of variables and it should actually kill you, or should do certain things.
Yeah.
But Terminator becoming aware and sentient, that's more dangerous. Also,
Yeah.
like the machines revolting against its human captors in the in Matrix, that's very dangerous. And also AI, the film by Steven Spielberg, it's sentience, right? And we
Yeah.
also have Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams, that showed that over time, as neural networks progress, they do want to become more human, right? That's how AI works, is that they want to think more like humanity. They want to be more humanistic, and they want to take on human traits. And as a result, he became human at the end. He had a wife and everything, and not to give away anything, but he lives a full life.
Yeah. I mean, in all these films, you'll notice that it's all about survival.
Yeah.
And if you look at humans, it's all about humans, isn't it? Right? I mean, survival of the fittest. It's all about getting, the best for yourself to survive,
Yeah.
so you can carry on.
It's a
And
very selfish thing, right?
it is. It is. That's humans,
right? Humans are selfish, right?
And the worrying thing is, if you get all this AI or whatever to programmed by humans, they'll think about human like, and that's what they'll do. I mean, that's Terminator 1 and 2. That it was Skynet becoming self-aware. It needed to protect itself. It needed to survive. And by doing that, what's the first thing you need to do?
I think
you
it
need
started
to destroy the enemies, right?
Yeah, like I think it started as if you look at how it was kind of phrased, it seemed like it was running calculations to figure out what the best possible scenario of saving humanity, the best possible in the world, the best possible way of saving the world is actually to eliminate humans because they're destroying the world.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's
true.
logical, right?
Yeah.
So logic and humanity, I think that this was more of a machine learning type thing rather than an AI thing, because in AI, you try to imbue our best traits like empathy and like feelings and stuff like that. And eventually, I think that the bot that was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, it figured out why humans cry, but it's something that he can never do.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, it's true. true. And if you look at I think when it comes to emotions, because human emotions are also part of what makes us human. And in the film AI by Steven Spielberg, it was that little boy. He wanted to be a human, and the emotions came in. He learned kind of like he produced these emotions. Well, I don't know, we call them algorithms, whatever.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't understand what it was about, right? And I think the AI was a more of a better film to understand about AI. However, it was long. It was a long film.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic long film. I think in more recently in pop culture, we have Commander Data, who is an android, who has a neural network that mimics humanity without the burden of emotions, right? Because he was not given emotions. His predecessor, Lore, was given emotions. He learned jealousy, and because he learned jealousy, he turned evil.
Yeah,
right?
so all the bad traits of
all the bad
humans,
traits, right? So he wasn't able to be altruistic. He wasn't, I guess, in a sense, if the Data learned how humans interacted first before he was given the responsibility of emotions, and he was able to better navigate that as a result of his machine learning before given those artificial intelligence traits. Now he had a good data set to go from, years of experience as a Starfleet officer to go by before he was imbued with these artificial intelligence traits. And I think that perhaps maybe the data set is the most important thing. The experience is the most important thing before you add on those artificial intelligence traits that take machine learning algorithms, take machine learning data sets into a humanistic type way of thinking, right? And maybe going about AI from AI side before the data sets is the wrong way to go. Perhaps maybe that's what it's illustrating. I don't know. I'm not an artificial intelligence guru or anything, but I see what I see, and I think that maybe the learning that the data sets are more important.
I mean, it's quite an engaging and controversial topic, AI and stuff like that. Even for me, it has its benefits. I can see the true benefits of machine learning, AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is also the dangers, and this is where the chat GPT is all about. So let's talk a little bit about that now. So what is chat GPT? Well, chat GPT is short for Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's basically a chatbot developed by OpenAI, launched in November 2022. It's been fine-tuned by machine learning using supervised and reinforcement learning techniques.
Yeah.
What's all that about? Well, Microsoft already started using Chat GPT, and they're planning to incorporate this technology into Bing, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, etc. While Google's version of Chat GPT is called Bard. It's already made a rocky start by making a huge mistake, and which ended up costing Google over $100 billion. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what's your chats now? The thoughts on the Chat GPT? Is it help or a hindrance? What do you think?
Well, ChatGPT, if you use okay, first of all, its data set is old. So it's learning on an older data set. So you have to keep that in mind that it's limited in what it can do. What it can do for you, though, is it can take its algorithms and everything that makes it what it is, and help you potentially help you make your language better. For example, we already cited the fact that CNET was using ChatGPT to create its articles, right? That actually take new information and do that. And all it's doing is basically taking a bunch of bullet points and creating something that sounds like it came from a human. That's actually quite cool. And for the longest time, no one figured it out. We've also seen cases where ChatGPT has passed the bar exam and the medical exam. That's pretty great as well too, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, how can you get just like bullet points and stuff like that, and then create something that like as if it's from a human, and people don't realize that, and this is where there's that danger of fake news, right?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's what it's given, and it interprets it back to what what a human would say or discuss and stuff like that. So it is crazy. I mean, my brother was he's a senior cybersecurity expert, and he says Chat GPT is pretty useful.
Yep.
It can produce AI written content, provide solutions to certain problems, and help with predicting future problems as well. So but what he's worried about is the mistakes that you could make, right? if it was a certain critical, mission critical stuff that he needs to do, it could make a mistake which could cost the company millions.
That's right. And it did. In the case of Bard, it cost Google $100 billion in stock value because it doubled down on a mistake that it made when it was asked a question, whether I think it was something like what did the James Webb Telescope, what kind of things does it do or something like that. I can't remember exactly the story, but the last thing that on its list of things that it could do was it was able to take photographs of exoplanets. That's not true. It never did that, right? That's actually a factual false thing. It was so sure that it did that and sounded so sure that is probably the flaw that everyone saw that, whoa, it's great and everything, but it's flawed, right?
It's flawed, yeah. And people have been asking, or my brother's been asking, where does ChatGPT or get all this data from? Well, over the years, all this data we've shared in the cloud, Google, Amazon, etc., it all takes that. I've been doing my data migration on my website last month, and it has over probably 20 to 50,000 pieces of photo, articles, and stuff like that we've written over the last 10 years. And what it's done is it's all this data in this MySQL database and stuff like that is actually backed up on their Amazon AWS storage.
Yes.
And it's stuck there because it's just a backup. But for us to extract the data or out of the AWS cloud service, it charges us. So it's free to put in the data, but if you want to extract the data out, it'll charge you. And
that's right.
Basically, Amazon wants to keep that data within their own cloud for their own whatever usage that they need. And that is probably where, all this machine learning, AI, chat, GPT, and all that kind of stuff is going to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, probably within their own sphere, they're going to use it internally because that's private information, right? You still have to have that privacy, right? But ChatGPT suffers from the fact that it is using delayed data sets. It's not timely. And also it doesn't have the right context sometimes. And it's making those types of mistakes. It's making, I guess, in a sense, ChatGPT, because people have had more experience with it, using it, to reinterpret data that's already true. So if you feed it a script, it can rewrite it for you. If it feed the bullet points, it can rewrite it for you. One of the things that Google has relied upon, and this is why they lost that money, is because everyone thinks that what you put into Google is going to be realistic and accurate. And unfortunately, the results that it spat out, it didn't really give any sources. So no one could actually go and double check whether or not Bard was correct and Bard was incorrect. And that's why people lost confidence in this technology. Even though it's a beta test, people get a little bit skittish when they see that everything's right except for this one really important point. And because so many people rely on doing their research on Google, it's going to really affect the conversations they're had on Facebook and all social media programs. It's going to make it so that people that are already kind of susceptible to misinformation, even more so because, it came from Google. It's got to be right.
Yeah. Everybody asks that question. Hey, what's this question? What's that question? They're like, go and ask your buddy Google.
Yeah. Can you Google it? If you Google it and it's wrong, it's going to be even more wrong when you parrot it. And then you're
Google is your friend.
Yeah, Google is your friend until it gets it wrong. So unfortunately, it's going to take a bit of work, and people need to actually adhere to those warnings. I think it's a great creative tool. I think it does help out with a lot of writing. So if you get a draft going and you can double check that the sources are correct and everything like that, and you use its prompts to rewrite something, I think it's a great way to save a bunch of time. But if you're using it as a fact-checking tool in the present tense, I don't think it's going to be all that great for you, and it's going to cause some problems with accuracy as well too. Also, we're finding that in schools, it's going to be an issue with writing essays and everything like that. That's why some that's why some forward-thinking professors have actually said, go ahead and use ChatGPT. Just make sure that the facts are correct. It's also made it a lot easier for professors to actually read your work because it's completely nullified that some of the language barriers and everything, the bad grammar and everything like that. You're more understandable, but the teacher in a sense wants to make sure that your facts are correct. And if you get that wrong, you fail. and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
You've written it so well. If you can't get the facts right, I think you deserve to fail.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, with the chat GPT, is that written text? Is it a chat like what you see in some of the websites where you have a chatbot where you talk to that chatbot, or is it verbally like have a conversation with this chat GPT? Is it a conversational?
It's conversational. Like you ask it questions and you give it parameters. You have to know how to use it first. Like, for example, you can use natural language to say, please take the following bullet points and write it in the style of The Verge. Okay.
It will do that. It'll read up a load of Verge articles to that style of Verge writing, and then it will get the
Or let's just say that you have information that's already available in the last year, and you want to figure out something like, okay, how many small pints of Ben and Jerry's ice cream can fill the back of a Tesla Model Y?
Okay.
It will actually reason that based on the dimensions of the container, based on the dimensions of the trunk. It will try to figure out the best possible way to fill as many in there as possible and then give you a result. It will actually reason it out in front of you, showing its work, and then give you a result. It is like that. It's basically like a human being trying to figure out an answer to the problem, showing their work. So that's actually really good in a sense, and because now you can see whether or not it made an error or not in order to reach that conclusion.
I think Chat GPT is, it gets all that data sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
But more essentially, I think to be more accurate and to get the correct answers and stuff like that, it needs to learn. That's what you need to do, right? It needs to learn that, okay, answer A is wrong, answer B is correct. And you're going to have to kind of give them like, well, how we learn. We make mistakes and we learn from the mistakes. So AI, ChatGPT, it needs to do that. And is it capable of doing that, though? That's the thing.
Well, it needs to be corrected. I mean, there's I don't think there's a good mechanism to tell ChatGPT that its last bullet point talking about the James Webb Telescope and its achievements, that the last point is incorrect, right? If we can actually train it that way, if the public can train it that way, saying, hey, ChatGPT, problem form, send error report, it can learn from that in real time. That can also be subject to abuse as well too. You can take a bunch of facts and also twist it another way, but factually, and someone's going to have to go through that and verify those sources. So I think in a sense, I think they're trying to figure out a way to train the bot better, but you can also put out a bunch of garbage on the internet and it will train on those data sets as well too.
That's the danger. And the thing is with us humans, for example, I mean, when we get stuck with a problem, right?
Yeah.
And we just couldn't solve it. We take a break, right?
Yeah.
Even switch off, completely take a day off, reset, refresh.
Yeah.
Next day, we can go back and tackle the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
With these type of chatbots and AI and stuff, it can't take a break. How can it take a break? Unless you switch off the computer, right? Or whatever supercomputer. And
it's
you're not
still working on the
right?
problem though. It's not human. It's still working on the problem the minute that you turn it back on. It's the same problem.
The worry thing is it doesn't get refreshed.
No.
And with a new fresher mind, and it could overload.
It's still a machine. Still a machine, right? It's still going to do what it's got to do.
It could do a Windows blue screen and crash. Say,
yeah. It's an interesting problem on how to get a chatbot, to get an AI program to rethink its approach. How do we get them to look at it a different way? Because it's going down a very narrow road, just like most humans do. They go down the narrow road. They keep going down until they exhaust all exit. All entry points, all reason, right? Yeah. And then they figure out that either it's right or they double down on the fact that this is the end of the road, and this must be the answer.
Yeah, one of the things I've seen, or what could be the benefit, is I think it was like 25 years ago when I was working at a data call center, and we were typing using this chat programs. Probably you heard of it, ICQ, right?
Mhm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
AOL Time
And
Warner.
yeah, I mean, I'm typing English in the chat, and there's a couple of users on there, and I think there's some of them were outside of UK, some of them were in Asia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, whatever, and they were typing in Chinese.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand that because at the time I didn't understand Chinese lettering words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the other side, they probably couldn't understand the full English sentences because they're obviously grammar, stuff like that. This is 25 years ago. I thought, oh, well, if I think to myself, hey, one day, I mean, they had Google Translate back then, but it was really shitty. I mean, come on. It was like, you type in some words and they just come up with something stupid, right?
Yeah, it's not the right
but for
context.
25 years, right? And I'm thinking to myself, hey, what happens if you type in English, full, proper grammar in this context, flawless, and then you send that message over to the other person, and it would then actually, on the other person's side, say Chinese, it would be proper Chinese lettering in the correct grammatical order,
context,
and we would converse, type in English, me, and the other person would read Chinese, and she would say Chinese, and then it will convert it back to English with how I can read it. So it's like a universal translator.
Yes.
Now, that there at the time was thinking maybe Google or one of the big boys can do something like this, but at the time they didn't have the development skills and probably the computers weren't powerful enough. Nowadays it can.
Yeah, I think
so.
That's
Now Google Translate looks better, and this is how probably one of the like machine learning, like you said, some subsets of AI and things like that. So it has its benefits. I mean. But that's just one aspect. It could be, there's other applications in terms of do medical, weather and climate prediction, and also military, right? The military is a bit more dangerous in a sense.
It's the most dangerous. It's the most violent form of the AI. How do you create the most casualties within this area without harming your own troops? Okay.
Yeah.
Or limiting the amount of losses to your own troops. Right? And who do you choose to die versus who do you choose to save?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's right.
Do you let all the Marines die while you save all the generals? Or do you what do you do?
Is that interesting question? Remember that question about there's 5 people on the rail track and they're split into 2. Yeah. And then there's one person on the other rail track and the train's coming along. Do you switch the track to kill the 5 or kill the 1? Isn't there something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Like it's like the crowd or the infant, right? Or the old person or the infant, right? Who
the infant is a single on the rail track, and there was 5 older on the other rail track. Yeah, right. So
you're doing the logic in your head, but you can't. You can only save one. You have to make a choice. You can't do both, and it's like what's that that impossible challenge in Star Trek, the something Maru.
Right.
The test, right? Where there's no possible answer. They just want to see how you would react in this command situation, right? So like the AI must be trained in that respect, and emotion comes into play as well too.
And again, if you look at the same question in a different situation, you could say, the child is more important, so the other 5 could die. Because the child has more life expectancy, right?
Yeah. Or the experience of the 5 people is greater than the child, and you can just have another child to be perfectly to be very blunt and very logical, right? It's like we can make another child. Yeah. That seems very, very bad. It seems very, very insensitive, but it's true. You can't make this experience again.
If you were in Japan, where there's a higher percentage of older people, then you probably want to save the child.
Potentially, right? Potentially, it's all context, right?
It depends on the situation, depends on the country, the culture, whatever. It's a lot of other stuff that needs to be taken into account to make that decision, which I don't think AI currently has that capability.
It's what Elon wants to put into full self-driving cars, the AI, to figure out whether it should run over the people sitting on the park bench or the people that are over here, or self-annihilate to save everyone.
Talking about chips and self-driving, NVIDIA and chip makers. Let's talk about that. Well,
Mhm.
AI won't be possible without all these computer chips. And right now, there's only a few chip makers capable of producing CPUs that could be used in AI. And yes, you've guessed it, it's NVIDIA. According to NVIDIA, they officially developed or started developing AI technologies back in 2012.
Mhm.
But I reckon they started much earlier than that.
Yeah.
Right now, they're only they are one of the market leaders when it comes to AI chips. So we will see more chip makers going this route. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're missing another component here, and that's what can we do to make computers in such a way that not only we know that GPUs take up a lot of power.
Yeah,
so much power so that they melt connectors off of your power supply. Uncle Jensen, you're breaking people's PCs. But at the same time, though, we also realize that there are other ways to get around this problem, and there are people working on quantum computers, which can actually exist in multiple states.
Yeah,
because they can exist in multiple states. The perception is that this particular artificial intelligence can exist in both the present and also in multiple different timelines.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. So a traditional chip has basically bits, right?
Yeah, it's zeros and ones.
It's on, off, true or false. But quantum computers has true, false,
or multiple different situations, and run the calculations and give me the best possible scenario.
Or maybe.
Right?
So it's way advanced.
Yeah, and that's like quantum leap. The multiple different scenarios. If this action leads to this, the percentages change in your timeline as to what other things will happen, right? And so by killing this one fly, all these things will change in the percentages of you successfully beating.
So it's like a timeline thing, right? Traveling to the future, whatever. It's like something happened at this point. It has multiple outcomes.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah. So and to process all this data, I mean, AI chips are different from traditional PC chips because they're able to handle 4 to 5 or even more times the bandwidth of normal chips, and they're designed to handle large amounts of data required for machine learning and AI applications, things like that. So
but they're still linear.
It
has to happen in sequence, right? Whereas a quantum computing chip uses a lot less power, 40 times less power, or 1,000. No, it's probably higher than that, to get all the data processed within
all the possibilities, right? It's like a neural network. That's how our brains work, and that's the key component of one of the AI applications. Something happens. When I I remember my old job, I was the VIP support for one of the big companies, and the VIPs are, something happens, right? So when we have a solution, we don't have one solution. We have like 5, 10 solutions.
5 solutions.
If one don't work, you got to jump into plan B. Plan B doesn't work. Plan C. Plan C doesn't work. Plan D. You got to have multiple solutions for one problem.
Yes.
Because it could happen in the way that you can't expect. Something happens and you got to, so this is what machine learning AI needs to figure out. And, like I said, something happens, the butterfly effect happens in this point in time, multiple possibilities.
Yeah. Right? And I think this is a good stepping stone towards quantum computing. Quantum computing right now is in its infancy. I mean, they're just testing it on regular equations and things that the answer, but can it get the answer too? So you're just trying to test its logic to make sure that it's infallible. And right now, it's very rudimentary, right? But if they can figure out how to, first of all, it takes like an entire room and cooling down to like minus thousands of. It's a very cold room to get these computing states. And we already know that chips take up, like they produce a lot of heat. So if we can find a way to make these things work in a regular ambient environment and crunch all these numbers for us, that might be the time.
They're working on holographic chips. So whereas traditional chips require electricity, right?
Yeah.
To run all the circuits, they're using light.
Yes.
Beams of light, because within the light beam, there's like wavelengths of different, wavelengths, and you can use those wavelengths to put data in there.
They run cooler as well
and-
too. Not as much electricity, right? Because I think the problem right now is that a lot of places are running out. Like data centers use up a lot of electricity.
A lot.
So you're onto something there. I mean, if we can reduce the usage and the load on the grid, and this is a prime example of something that will affect the grid. The more computing power we want from something, the more data centers we have to build for Netflix, the worse our grid is. Don't worry about EVs. Your binge watching habit has more to do with the grid going down than driving an electric vehicle.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of energy that you need to use to power up all this kind of stuff is growing. I'm not sure exponentially or not, but definitely growing. And to kind of satisfy all this kind of demand, I think they need to obviously look into energy consumption as well, how to improve that. Like you said, that could be another show topic about renewable energies, and I think that's another form of energy or electricity that they need to look into, because without that, all of this wouldn't be possible.
No.
And that is where you'll see Matrix. What was the purpose? Well, what was happening in Matrix is that they're using humans' body heat to produce electricity.
Yeah, we're copper tops, right?
We're
copper top batteries. You feed us, we produce, but that's a very inefficient way to produce electricity. They should just eradicate humanity. That part doesn't quite make sense to me. But at the same time, though, I think what they want to do is they want to evolve, and having data sets from humans interacting in different scenarios is how the machines learn to kill us more efficiently.
Oh yeah. That's right. The agents. Yeah. Those agents, right? Is that what you call them?
Yeah, agents. In the byproduct, in the byproduct is just a way to maintain the power to run these simulations. So maybe it's a good and a bad thing, but it's definitely a horrible way, inefficient way to power supercomputers. Right? They could do multiple reactors. They already killed the sky, so they can't do solar. So maybe this was the only way to power everything, because if you watch The Matrix, everything is destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way that they could do that is thermal, as in geothermal.
Yeah, dig into the earth and actually use geothermal electricity and everything like that. But still, if you take out all the heat in the earth dies.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their consumption is, but it could be a very bad situation. The only thing that is fully renewable is if you can get above those horrible nuclear clouds is solar.
Is that why Elon wants to go to Mars?
He wants
He's
to
produced the biggest rocket ever, and is powerful enough to take a starship, apparently.
It is.
Man, this guy is definitely... He's more than Elon Musk. I mean, Tony Stark's.
Yeah, well, Tony Stark was actually trying to be good, right? In a sense, right? He was arrogant, but he wanted humanity to survive, and yes, he shoots off his mouth and everything like that. But still, I mean, the character portrayed was actually a lot more noble than Sir Elon Musk. Right. He's not a sir yet, but I'm sure that at some point he will be knighted by somebody. I don't know who.
Yeah, we talked about some of the dangers of AI. So let's go back on that. I mean, like I said, some of the applications you've seen for weather, climate prediction, medical advances, military and defense. Stock market uses some of the machine learning and AI robotics now. Japan is forefront of robotics technology and stuff like that now, ChatGPT. But there are certain hidden dangers. What if AI becomes self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Gives the wrong answers and solutions that you said, become hostile to humans for self-survival and stuff like that. Could it be a Skynet?
Well, they're not
a reality.
I think we're not treating them like robots. If we actually put in the laws of robotics into AI, then it would not be able to harm anyone. The problem is that the military doesn't want that.
Oh yeah, true.
Then it would be useless. Right, so
it'd be useless. It's like, oh, don't harm a human.
Yeah,
okay,
we can't do that. We can't shoot down anything. We can't kill anything. We can't what do we do with that useless AI, right? So there's going to be, and I think there's going to be good AI and bad AI. right? There's going to be a battle between the light and the dark, right? So those
Yeah.
with the algorithms for maintaining and preserving life, and those without. And I think there's going to be a clash at some point
Yeah, I mean,
in the
this
future.
is one of the things that OpenAI was actually co-founded by Elon Musk,
Yeah.
and he left I think 2018.
But why did he leave?
He said that AI is too dangerous. He doesn't want to get involved or be one of the co-founding fathers of this AI thing, right? And it could say one day, if it was done wrong or something goes wrong, he could be blamed for having this AI killing whatever.
But is he just simply projecting? Because I mean, he's pretty erratic in his own behavior as well too. I mean, he's wrecked a bunch of things himself, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Building something in his mirror image is actually dangerous.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, imagine that. Hey, I've got money. I'm going to buy Twitter and then screw all the employees.
Yeah,
and turn Twitter into a piece of shit.
Look what happens, right? So I mean, I think he's more afraid of projecting. I think he's more afraid of
He's more afraid of himself.
Yes.
So therefore, he just left because otherwise, it's his version of AI or his version of the AI could be very, very damaging.
Yeah, like imagine the person that acted like that as an AI with all the capabilities and warheads attached to him. I mean, he create nuclear war just for the hell of it, right?
Yeah, he'll say, "Oh, we'll need more resources.
We need more data. We need more data points. So I have to create this war to see what happens." Right?
Yeah. I think it's it's still a very early. Are we? Do you think we are on a really early developmental stage of AI, or do you think we're in kind of the cusp?
I think we're on a very dangerous part of AI where people are now conditioned to do their research, and certain things have happened where people now still believe that the Earth is flat.
Oh God!
And are willing to double down on that false information, right? So imagine if Google, the all-seeing Google, the Oracle, tells you that, yep, I think the Earth is flat. Here's some evidence. You're going to parrot that all over your social media, and then you're going to have other slightly weak-minded people that are susceptible to misinformation join you on that that terrible journey of regression, right? I mean, we've gotten to humanity progressed to realize that the planet is not flat, and now you're trying to get a bunch of people to move back to the Middle Ages with you, and you might be successful because Google is backing you up. Oh crap! What are we gonna do?
I mean, in fact checking, and also, it's difficult to say. For example, if you cut an apple, right?
Yep.
There's certain people cut the apples differently.
Yeah.
Some people cut it straight down the middle. Some people cut it sideways, horizontal. There's no correct way of cutting an apple, but how do you say, hey, Google, to cut an apple is this way? But at the end of the day, you could cut an apple in any way you want. You're still cutting an apple.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
You're still consuming the product at the end of the day, as long as it's consumed.
Yeah. There was an article posted in Guardian, I think it was, about an engineer at Google who developed the AI chatbot. And I'm not sure, of course, this is the one that's being barred in Google, but it became self-aware. It was sentient, and it had an ability to express thoughts and feelings with a perception equivalent to a human child. And the engineer asked him what it was afraid of, and the AI responded, or the chatbot responded, that it was afraid of being switched off or deleted. It was. I'm not sure if it's leaked or whistleblower, but Google fired the engineer citing company violations. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, wasn't he discredited though? But again, discredited can mean a lot of things. He might be on the right track, or he might just be a loon. Some crazy guy that guy's like, oh my God, I built this thing. You might be too close to the AI. You might have imprinted yourself onto it. It's your baby.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to believe that it's not real. When other people objectively look at us like, no, dude, thing's not doing what you think it's doing, right?
Like I won't say mad scientist, but the person who just don't want to believe that it's wrong.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
it's or what you're seeing is actually not there. You're delusional,
Yeah.
right?
Could be.
And
Could
that can
be.
happen when you get too close to the problem or you get too close to what you're working on. It's your baby, right? You need to be
Mhm.
able to step away and have other people look at it. That's why and this is a problem. That's why medical documentation, drug trials and everything, they're peer reviewed. That data is
Yeah.
looked at by other people. When you take something
Yeah.
that is simply not there and you run with it, it's dangerous because
Yeah.
it's not looked at from the proper fresh eyes that can interpret that information and say, yeah, I see your point, but this doesn't track. What you're seeing is actually not there. So you went ahead and you published information or you said information publicly that puts doubt on what's happening here. And even though we peer reviewed it and found it to be false, that false information, that misinformation is already out there.
Yeah.
We can't put the genie back in the bottle.
It was that girl that made a medical breakthrough. And it was
What's her
Holmes,
name?
Elizabeth Holmes.
Elizabeth Holmes. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
She's a piece of work.
She says, "Oh, I've developed this blood testing kit that could, to cure diseases and stuff like that." Everybody just believed it. I don't know why.
They believed it because
billions into it.
They believed it because they believe in hope, right? They believe in hope. They're hoping that this is actually true, and that because this is like a religion. Religious people believe that there are deities out there that control our fate, that have put us on this planet, that imbue us with certain traits and everything like that. And it is invoked in the name of wars, in the name of many things, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is the it's like what's it called? I don't think this is the right side of the Messiah complex, but she has something that is so actually no someone said it right. Anything that seems like magic is simply science that you cannot understand yet. Technology that you can't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what she's trying to get out.
Yeah,
this new technology of testing blood for diseases, and it'd be like a magical cure and for everything.
It seems magical, right?
Yeah, but imagine this thing now turned into AI machine learning. The AI machine learning thing, or Bart, ChatGPT, is giving you all this information. It wants to better human. It wants to make humans better, right?
Yeah.
But it's the wrong kind of information that you need.
Yeah.
It could do that as well.
Yeah. So if it's not taking the information from the right source, it'll have the same conclusion as any human not looking at the right sources. And we see that constantly, right?
Yeah.
We see people that want to take this information, believe it so blindly, they want it to be real. But the fact is that it's not real. You just want it to be real. The facts are saying otherwise, but no. This one sensational thing, I've already got it in my mind that this has to be true because it sounds good to me. I have to make it true.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is, for example, medicine, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they have like trials,
peer reviews,
human trials, testing with animals, and that's another big topic. But they're testing medicine, and out of like say 1,000 people, different people react to different medicines differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have 1,000 people, 900 of them tested this medicine, that it works for them because it heals them, whatever.
Yeah.
Makes them better. The other 100% could have side effects, which could kill them or be bad for them and stuff like that. So this is like medical trials.
Yes.
For AI machine learning, it hasn't got that kind of filter or this kind of thing where it needs to get this thing out there. How will 1,000 people react to this kind of AI machine learning thing versus the other person, the other group?
Yeah.
And it needs to take all that into account as well, because some people would take in the wrong news differently. Some people take the wrong news and act on it, right? Yeah. And so on. And it's human.
What's it called? It's confirmation bias, right? It tracks with my narrative Therefore, I'm going to make it true by finding information that validates its existence, this information's existence, right? But the sources of that information may not be validated in itself. Therefore, you're doubling down on a mistake, misinformation, right? And it spreads so quickly today. There's also mistrust in the people that are validating that information, because now we label it with conspiracy. These people are suppressing this information and the public should know about this. Okay, that's great. But do you have the credentials to actually interpret this information correctly so that you aren't coloring it with your own bias, right? I mean, I'm no doctor, but I'm no doctor. I don't look at this information all day long. There might, and someone might leak out this one study of 1,000 and take the negative result as truth. And because the one study was not collated with the other studies, it was thrown out as statistically insignificant for a reason, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. That one out of the 1,000, candidates, and maybe 100 had a problem. That's still true, but in the wider context, it's a 10% issue, right?
Yeah.
And they need to address that. But they're taking that and amplifying it.
And it's not like they're not learning. Any death is unfortunate, but in the greater good, you've saved 99% of the people, which is a huge achievement. You're learning from what caused the issue with the other people, and you're adjusting those results to actually help the next group of people that have the same type of markers or health habits or DNA or whatever it is, right? Because you never stop learning, right? You always make the existing drug better, and you always find ways to help everyone at the end of the day, right? But you do it in time, and you do it in a certain process so that it cannot be tainted by feelings or interjecting misinformation into it. That's why, again, peer reviews over and over. Did this study track? What's wrong with the study? What information do we need to throw out? And the throwing that information seems to be what people are gravitating towards and blowing it up for the wrong reason, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is what the danger of ChatGPT and other AI bots is that they're going to take that one piece of information, because so many people have talked about it on social media, and they might use that as a source, therefore making their answer, what they're writing to you, what they're answering with, completely false because of current data sets.
And one thing also, especially social media influencers and stuff like that, what are they after? They're after clicks, they're after views, they're after followers.
What's your end goal, right? Are you part of a
what is trending?
Yeah.
So you could then take this false information or incorrect information, which this ChatGPT has provided you, and then being a 50 million follower social media person, you could then spread that, and then this is just gonna,
And this is a huge racket. This is a problem because there are groups, certain think tanks. That's what they call them, right? Certain think tanks put out this information and make it sound so good. They write these, articles and everything like that. They put it out on the internet, and it infects the internet, the data sets that these AI are learning from, in such a way that it doesn't know better, right? Like, and it's unfortunate.
I tell you what, Stephen, recently, and this is not me, Mike, by the way, on my social media feeds, there was news about, you probably heard of him, Andrew Tate, controversial guy.
Yeah.
I've only read one news item on my social media feed. I think, what the hell's going on with this Andrew Tate? I don't even know him. I don't even follow him. I read this thing because everybody was talking about it. So, okay, I read one news article.
Yeah.
And for the next 5 days, all I had was all this Andrew Tate bullshit coming through my social media feeds. I mean, what the hell?
That's machine learning. They thought that you were interested in it,
I read one article. But the thing is, that article had millions of likes or views or whatever.
Yeah.
And because I looked at one article and it had so many likes and views and whatever, he thought I was into that.
It was authority. The authority on that article was so great that it overcompensated, overcorrected on the machine learning.
It's just nuts.
Yeah,
so that's just crazy.
The only thing I heard about him was that Greta Thunberg called him out, and he tweeted a picture of him eating pizza, and because that was geotagged, that's how he got caught. That's all I heard. Something stupid like that. So Greta Thunberg put him in jail. Is that true? I don't know. I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I wouldn't say it's annoying. It's annoying because I didn't want to know all this stuff. I just read a news article on it, right?
And all of a sudden, it is gospel.
These crazy feeds coming through, and I'm thinking, what the hell? I never asked for it, but because you signed the agreement when you signed up for Twitter, when you signed up for Google, all that, I say agree.
Yep.
You're
the product. You're the product.
And they say, okay, we'll feed you whatever we think is trending.
Yeah. And that was trending. But, like I'm not interested in that. I don't care. So my internal filter is on and I just basically wave it away, right? But a lot of people don't have that filter. Yeah.
I mean, again, don't get me wrong. Machine learning is good. ChatGPT can be improved and everything. I think, it's not going to go away, right? No. Like electric cars, like cryptocurrencies, it's not going to go away. So how do we better protect ourselves in that sense, or be more informative in these topics? Well, it's just do research, not just read one article, right? Read a bunch of articles. Yeah. And if you have friends and whatever, you could discuss these topics, because at the end of the day, having the correct information is one thing. Having the correct information presented in the wrong way is also
detrimental. Yes, absolutely,
and stuff like that. So it's don't just read one article. Don't be single-minded. Just open up, find out all the facts if possible. And like I said, there was a big thing like last year. Cryptocurrencies were dropping.
Yep.
All these exchanges were being bankrupt and that, and it was a bad stigma with cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
I stuck with it because I read plenty of articles. I know the technology behind it, all the blockchain stuff like that. So I'm a firm believer, and so far, it hasn't actually been bad for me at all, because I read up on what's it's all about. So getting the facts correct, and I know there are facts which are incorrect, but if you have 100 pieces of facts and you might have like 5-6 of them which is bad or incorrect or whatever, then you know that the other 80-90% facts should be fairly accurate.
Yeah. What's that saying? The everything, once you eliminate everything improbable, the most probable thing is what's left. I'm quoting that completely incorrectly, but you know what I'm saying, right? You eliminate everything else, and the last thing on the table is, no matter how improbable, must be in some way the truth.
Who said that? Wasn't it like a science fiction movie?
I got that off Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah. I think it was a Star Trek.
Right? I learned it off Star Trek. It comes from somewhere, but that's where I heard it.
Yeah. If you eliminate, then it's the only possibility.
Yep. It's a very Vulcan thing to say.
Oh, that's right, Vulcan thing, isn't it?
It's definitely a Vulcan
thing. Yeah. Because they do logic. It's all logic, right?
Through logic and everything like that, and it gets them out of trouble most of the time. But that's that humanity that bounces.
It's without emotion.
Without emotion.
Yeah. So there are pros and cons, benefits and disadvantages, but humans being humans, there is an emotional attachment to all sorts of certain things. So
that's right.
That needs to be taken into account. I think AI has some time to learn about human emotions.
Yeah, it does.
And I am afraid that when it does learn human emotions, it could be bad.
Yeah, it's context, right? And if it doesn't
human
figure
emotions
out the
are very hard to control.
They are. They're also very hard to unravel. I mean,
there was a study saying that how to describe love, or what is love, and it still hasn't come up with an answer.
That's chemical reactions in your body that make you go a little bit kooky. It's a drug.
Even the facts. There was a thing about people in love, youngsters in love, and even if the person, the girl, whatever, the guy was treating that person bad, he or she still wouldn't leave him or her, because all they see is love.
Yeah, all the chemicals are firing, and
even the facts are staring in her face or his face.
Yeah,
impossible. It's
Chemical intoxication.
Hey, they could develop emotions in AI in a form of viruses,
Yeah.
because viruses is written certain codes, right?
Yep.
Which could affect how AI works.
Oh,
So
definitely.
that could
Yeah.
be something interesting.
Yeah. So, like
Yeah.
if that gets into the system, then the results are tainted no matter what, because emotional thought is detrimental to logical thought in many
Yeah.
ways. So
Crazy. Well, I think that's all we have for today. We've only touched on a few aspects of AI,
Yeah.
so there's so much more to cover. It's a topic that can polarize audiences across the globe. So tell us more and tell us your thoughts in the comment section below. So, if you want to get hold of me, you can find me on Instagram at Winston Chim and also at Twitter at Winston Chim. So remember to follow, like, and share. So what about Stephen?
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Fung or Instagram at Stephen Fung. And I guess I'm reading this last part. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so that Winston and I can let you know when a new episode is ready to go. And that's every Wednesday around noon. And you'll find us both here. And again, make sure you leave a comment for us so that we know that we're doing a great job. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you. So, bye-bye.